welcome to Let's Talk Spoop. I'm your host, Don, and today we're going to talk about Afterimages, which is free on Amazon Prime Video. So, Afterimages is a collection of stories, 5 in total, which you don't really get from reading the description from Amazon. It doesn't really tell you that. But, so I was in for a surprise when I saw the movie. So let's go ahead and roll on into it. As usual, we're going to break it down into 6 categories. We're going to do things a little differently today. So those categories are acting, story, music, atmosphere, look, creep. However, because it is 5 separate stories in one movie, we're going to go over the stories last. So we're going to start with acting. Acting is borderline terrible. Like, it's not horrendous, but it's pretty bad. It's very stilted. Lines feel very forced. There's a lot of different accents in the movie, which is kind of cool. It's very multicultural. There's indecipherable Asian accents. There's English, like British English, Australian English, I guess, and then like American English, all rolled into this one movie, which is kind of cool, but it makes it kind of difficult to understand what they're saying some of the times, and again, the lines just kind of feel forced. So 2 out of 5 for acting. Music. Music is actually really good in this movie. It was surprisingly good. Really pulled you into the individual story and kind of held you there. So for music, I gave it a 4 out of 5. The atmosphere, each individual story is filmed differently, and I'll go into that a little bit more. For example, the first story has to do with a ghost in a swimming pool, and so the way that they film it feels like you're watching through water. The second one has to do with a woman who jumped off of a building, so everything is very like jittery. The third story has to do with an elevator. It's like people locked in an elevator, slowly losing their minds. So it felt very, very cramped, and like the speed of the movie would jump, which was kind of fun. So each individual movie has a different feel and atmosphere to it, and I felt like all of those were done very well. So I give it a 4 out of 5 for atmosphere. The look of the movie, each individual story, as I said, has a different look, and the spirits are all genuinely creepy, except at the very end of the movie, there is a laughably fake CGI fire. Like, I was laughing watching it. The flames were just facing different directions and looked like somebody just copy and pasted fire onto surfaces. So, for a look, because of that alone, I dropped it down to a 3 out of 5. Creepiness factor, all the spirits are very well made, very creepy. So I give it 4.5 out of 5. So, as I said, there are 5 separate stories, so we're going to talk about each individual story here. The first story is called Ghost Pool Leg, and it's about this creepy dude who spies on people from the top of his apartment complex, and he sees this beautiful Asian woman swimming in the pool every night, and he decides to go and get a closer look, and spirits happen. Not a bad story. The ghost was creepy, the dude was uncomfortable, so 3.5 out of 5. The second story, I should have explained how this movie works. So there are 4 individual stories, and then it's all got a setting story where it's all taking place inside of it. The setting story is called Burnt Offerings, and it's used, like I said, as the narrative device, and it's about this group of filmmakers who burn cameras as a sacrifice to the gods and the spirits, and in return, they're finding these videotapes inside of the ashes of the fire the next morning, and then they're watching the videotapes. So moving on. That's the 5th story. The first story, as I said, was Ghost Pool Leg. The second story is, I'm going to mess this up really bad, Xiao Bao Bao, Xiaobaobao. It's about a woman who is in her apartment and she hears a scream, and she looks out her window, and she sees a woman fall past her window, and she goes and she takes a picture of this dead body while the government is like, or the police are there trying to cover it up. And because she took that picture, she's being haunted by the ghost of this woman. It was creepy, very well done, came together very well. 4 out of 5. The third story is called Skin Deep, and it takes place in an elevator. It's nothing special. It's kind of weird, and has this woman who believes that she gave her soul to a demon to be beautiful, and it's just not very entertaining. It doesn't, aside from the music, it doesn't really hold you very well. 2 out of 5. The fourth story is called Rekindling, and it's about this guy whose girlfriend disappears, and he has this engagement ring that he bought her and that he's been like playing with, that he drinks every night, and he's slowly like freaking out, worrying about her. The main issue with that story is it's in English, but the two main characters of that story speak very bad broken English, so it makes it very hard to understand what they're saying. So I gave that one a 2 out of 5. Burnt Offerings, which is the narrative device, 3 out of 5. It wasn't bad, wasn't great, but it did well for what it was supposed to do. And they kind of brought it together at the end. Didn't make a lot of sense towards the end, but they brought it together. So 3 out of 5. So we add all those up together, and story overall becomes a 2.9 out of 5. So then we tally all of our scores, and we end up with a 3.4 out of 5 for Afterimages on Amazon Prime.